T-54 E1 is still a pretty situationally strong tank. You know, you're just looking for situations where you can basically play a support role and get your clip out. So even in medium tanks, I still play through the north here, particularly when you look at matchups like this, and they don't really have a whole lot of armor, and you know, neither do you. I mean, there's maybe like 3 armored tanks on each team. So that gives you more opportunities to play through the north area here. Again, as we said on the previous Sacred Valley map, playing through the south might be entertaining, but it's not really an area that projects out well to the rest of the map, and it's not really easy to fight out of. So typically speaking, the north area, whoever wins in the north wins the game. Unless they play it really passively. But you're headed to the south, and let's see what happens. Again, if they have light tank spotting, you can get lit moving up through here, so you do have to be careful.
One of our tracks is damaged.
Row. Yeah, you've got a bunch of guys down low, which is also not good. And so now you're over here, so now what are you gonna do? This is always the question. You don't have a whole lot of backup, and again, this isn't like a super awesome place to fight. You can beat this T-54, but you have to understand you've only got 3 shots in your clip right now. You've got a lot of guys around this corner. You can shoot through the wall, you don't have to shoot over the wall.
We didn't even scratch them. Enemy armor is damaged.
And again, your cover there is only as good as their how much they value their ammo. There's no reason why you shouldn't be clipping already.
Our tracks is damaged. We've lost a track.
They've shot through one part of the building.
Here, drive on.
Oh, don't scroll back this way. This is where you get shot. And you did finally decide to reload. And again, see how they're they control that middle area here, but you've got that VK coming around the back. Like, you can make a difference over there on those guys. You've got a lot of your weight down here on the south, so when you have a lot of weight down on the side, you still have to do something. You have to be more aggressive, not less. This T-54 is overextending a little bit, although he can just slide down that hill. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be a little bit further forward when you're ready to actually use your gun. Don't forget that tank destroyer will still be in the back. Again, you can fire through those things, right? Unless you're firing heat. The only time you can't is when you're firing heat. Oh, aim a little bit. So, see how you're shooting at it into his upper glacis? There's no reason for you to shoot into his upper glacis. Aim lower there. And again, so don't let these little walls stop you. If you're shooting heat, that's a problem. If you're shooting APCR, it is not.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
And then you do want to reload here. You're not really going to get shots on those guys. And then don't forget that STRV is still behind that CDC. Your guys are pushing through the low ground, but that's not a big deal. You are going to need to go back at some point. It's like you forgot the STRV was there. You're like, what? His butt. That's his butt. That's his butt. You're not going to be loaded. And so you basically want to protect yourself a little bit more from artillery. I mean, you're not really gaining anything here because you're basically just watching this guy. And then when you're loaded, then you can go out there. Oh! Don't rush it. Reload. And then I would have stayed behind that building until I drop spot, because I don't want to get hardy. But he decided to shoot at the grill instead, so you got that going for you. You are going to need to go back. Again, this is just far too slow. As I was saying earlier, the T-54E1 does play a pretty good support tank role, but it's not a very good range tank. Like it's more of a close range, go in with the heavies type of tank. I wouldn't worry too much about that Roomba. What you want to be able to do is get up underneath over here so that you can deal with those guys where they're at. Unfortunately, your artillery was not smart enough to get out. That will happen a lot. If you want to, how much does your ammo mean to you? Oh, okay, there you go. You got him. He's on the other side of the hill. You're not going to be able to shoot that guy. You're not going to be able to shoot that guy. Who you can shoot is this guy. Again, you have to keep in mind is you've only got 3 shots in your clip. You also don't know where the STI is. So typically in these types of situations, right, what I'm looking to do is get an early shot of damage on this guy, 1 or 2 shots on this guy, and then just run away while I'm clipping, right, and force him to pursue me. Because even if you're fully clipped, right, you're going to have to high roll to get him out. So you want to knock his health down a little bit and then try to clip him. Well, that helps. This guy, no, just go ahead and push through and get him. Push through and get him. Take your time. Take your time. He's gonna shoot you, but take your time. Oh, wait, no! You had plenty of time. Plenty of time to kill him there. Come on, man. The good news is he rushed his shot just as much as you did. Oh well. Alright, now presumably those guys are going back towards the 907. The artillery already fired, so there's no reason for you to hide from artillery. Just keep driving forward here. You want to try to get to a position where you can cover. Basically, these guys are going to flex back to where that 907 is, so you want to get as far back to see if you can cover him as possible. That ain't going to happen. Okay, and then so now what you want to be able to do, particularly like, let's pretend like you guys were in a platoon, or you guys had some psychic connection so you can actually talk to each other. So what you would really want to do is be like, okay, well, let's see if we can figure out what this STI one is. This STI ISO'd? Because if he's ISO'd, then push him and try to get him out and then deal with these other guys. But let's say that you do that, you come over here and you don't see him, and then you can sort of basically wait out these guys, see if they go back. And if they put some pressure on cap, right, then you can either go back or split at that point. But yeah, until then, you want to stay together. You don't want to be split up in this particular scenario, particularly since, for the most part, you have more mobility than them since they are heavy tanks. So what you do not want to do, and this is the exact same thing that we discussed when we were playing against light tanks, what you do not want to do is make this into a brawl. You don't want to be sitting on a corner waiting for them to turn around that corner and be like, oh, hey, here you are at 50 meters. You want to spot these guys at a bit further range because that's where you're going to make your margins. And again, I still feel like it would have been better to both basically push up through here as a team. Where you guys are going, you're needlessly exposing yourself. But let's see how it works out. Either of you can push this guy. Again, you have to remember that the heavy tank will be coming around eventually. In theory, the Action X should be leading, both because he's a tier 10 and because he's got way more health. Sitting on this side of this hill doesn't really help you because you want to be over where that Action X is. This side of the hill doesn't protect you from arty or anything. Let's go ahead and reload. You're not going to get that shot. Oh, you will get that shot. Oh, why are you going forward, man? Where are you going? I'm not sure where you think you're going, but forward was not the correct answer. But luckily that VK also wasn't able to damage you. And so you have a window here where you can get a clip out on this guy, but the FV won't be reloaded. guess he's got the little gun. Not entirely sure why he was shooting at you, since I would say the Action X is probably the bigger threat, but to each his own. And you guys can be a little bit aggressive here because you know where the FV207 is. You just need to figure out where the STI went. So it'd be interesting to see where that guy played. So presumably he came up over here, then he went back over there, and then we went back up over here, would be my guess. You do need to, so you guys do need to be closer together. So again, if you have this psychic connection, you guys should both be in the same area. Not entirely sure where the Action X is going, but again, at this point in the game is not the time where you go, you know what we should do now? We should split up. Because basically there's one tank left, right? The STI. The FE207 is going to have very limited opportunities. So you guys basically both want to get onto the STI at the same time. This is not going to be a good path for you to go through. Here we go. And so you're basically just trying to see if the STI is here, and if he's here, then you pull back. Oh, there he is. Alright, you can't take a shot. You cannot take a shot. Your buddy can theoretically take a shot. Let him take the shot. Once the STI shoots, then you just go out and get your business done. Don't. That was pretty lucky. So you basically let your teammate who can take the shot take the shot. Let him bait the shot. And then you go out and clip him out. The only way that you lose that is if you die, right? So because you've got the clip and he doesn't. So like let's say you were both one shot. Even if you were both one shot, you still want him to die because you can clip him out and he can't. And then you don't need to reload because it's an arty. It doesn't have that much. And then now you guys just need to go together. If you guys go together, then and you're not sitting right next to each other. Oh, why'd you reload, man? I mean, that's a little bit overly cautious. You only need one shell to kill him, and you had two. So even if you panicked, you theoretically could have gotten him. Oh, he killed himself. Be sad. Alright, well, yeah, anyone's a good one. So anyhow, you guys came over, you sent a lot of people to the south over here, which I don't really feel like was a fantastic play, but they sat pretty far back over here. And then basically as your guys pushed in over here, these guys just like left. They abandoned these guys up here, which didn't help them very much. You were pretty vulnerable up there the entire time. I could have hit you with artillery. And so that's something that you need to consider. And again, as I was saying, climbing this area right here is not a very good place for most tanks, and so you want to be careful about coming to this side. Luckily, they didn't really put that much pressure through this side, right? They sent the T-10 through here, and that was pretty much it. They didn't make any attempt, even though they controlled all of this map area. They didn't make any attempt to force you to pay for it to take it back. And that ultimately ended up hurting them. And then again, when you're in those situations at the end, it's helpful for you guys. You don't need to be right on top of each other, but like when you were coming back through this middle when they still had 4 tanks alive, you guys need to be in the same area where you can at least in theory cover each other if you get spotted on one side or the other. But you won, so I'm happy for that. All right, so let's look at the stats. Alrighty. Yeah, you didn't really get too much out of your team. Again, teams that go south tend to struggle like that. You just kind of benefited from the fact that their team just didn't play the north that well. Because again, if they really just drove into your base, it would be GG. Like, it would be a thanks for playing, guys. But them's the breaks. Alright, so oh yeah, I forgot to look at your shooting percentage. Not bad. The T-54E1 it's a really good tank, again, in those more brawling support situations where like let's say against, you know, even that STI at the end, or, you know, when you guys were fighting the patent, where if the Centurion takes the shot of damage from the enemy, then you just pop out, clip out, and then pop back. Like that's really where the strength of the T-54 E1 lies as far as a support tank. But GG, glad you won, well played. Oops. I almost exited OBS instead of exiting the game. Alrighty. And we will also look at Cinciosky's, I missed what tank it was. Some tank. Alrighty, so tier 10 game, you've got more speed, they've got slightly more armor. Like particularly in these types of situations, I still like playing through this F2. From this south, again, if you play through this middle, if the north side knows how to play it, they always have the advantage in the middle. But you can always hope that they don't know how to play it. Let's see what you do. So you're going towards the middle, which isn't necessarily bad, and again, you basically want to try to set up through here early to get your shots. We don't know how they're going to spot, but presumably they're going to at least send somebody here to spot, which is the vulnerability of the south side, because that's a hard position to counter. If they try to take the lighthouse early, that's actually to your advantage, because then it makes it actually more difficult for them to spot the guys that are underneath, and that's really where you typically run into problems in the middle. So yeah, you send a couple guys through here, you want to keep an eye on what they send around through there. Like, see, that's potentially counterable, so if you go to this side and you're where this STB is at, you can help those guys. And then here you can get shots up through this middle. Again, so this is something that we talked about last week, where you don't really need to go that far to get shots into this area here. So they didn't send their light tank here, at least as far as we can tell, because like, you didn't at least crest. So what you basically want to do is you want to sit in the soft zone. I'm pointing right here, but basically like right here. Like, hang on, let me see if I can. So basically you want to move maybe about 5 meters to your right, and maybe like a couple of meters forward, and you can get shots into where this E100 is going to cross, and if the Centurion Action X comes across through that side. I wouldn't really worry about that 50-51 at this point. Really, you're more concerned at getting shots through here, but you want to keep an eye on what goes on over there. And so where you've driven is actually a little bit too far, but since there's nobody here, you're not going to get punished for it, so that's fine. You can get shots already. You can get shots already. No. You have plenty of shots at that guy. And then now that they dropped out because nobody's spotting them, like this bat chat up here potentially spot them from over there. You can move forward, and again, you don't need to move forward into the bushes. You need to move forward to about right there, and then you're close enough for that bush for that to drop. And then you back up, see, and then see how it became solid again, and then now you can shoot at him again. But now this guy's behind that rock. The 113 is presumably taking a more direct route this way, so that's something that you do have to keep an eye on. See how this 113 is underneath here now? So this is a guy that you can shoot. See, this E100 is taking this route over here, but you're not really worried about that. And then see how this guy's crossing over here. It's something that you're keeping an eye on, but you're not super concerned about yet. You will have to be concerned yourself with that at some point, but it is not quite at this moment. So right now you can't get shots at this 113, and I wouldn't worry about spotting the E100 at this point because even when he's lit, you're not going to get a shot. But once he gets, if he tries to go this way, once he gets clear of here, then you can basically step back and get shots at him. But for now, there's no reason that you shouldn't be shooting that 113. And then now, right, again, so you keep moving forward here when you don't really need to. As long as they're lit, you don't need to light them. So if they're lit, then don't worry, just let them be. Just step back and take your shot. Get that, shoot that drive wheel.
Enemy armor is hit.
And this Action X could help you out as well in terms of getting shots, but he really has it. And then see, these guys over here are getting pressured, although I'm not entirely sure why the grill charged into them right there. That doesn't seem like a very solid play, but that's something that you need to be concerned about, right, on that side. You got a lot of guys there, they're just, you know, slow rollers, but you'll see that a lot. So what you do not want to do is you do not want to fight these guys here from this position here, because this position here is much more vulnerable than their position there. So you want to be careful about fighting onto that side, and that's why we were saying that this side is difficult to play when you don't control that. And I would go ahead and load heat for that IS-4. Although it looks like that one went through the driver's window, so you got that going for you. The 113 behind you is going to be problematic because he's going to be able to light your guys. Well, they're sitting out here in the open, so despite the fact that I just said that they have all the advantages, they're not playing this very well. So that shot needs to go through his drive wheel right there, especially against Russian tanks. Shooting through the tracks is particularly difficult. So again, you're shooting too centrally here. You want to shoot at the drive wheel. It'll be much easier for you to deal damage than when you're shooting. Of course, you got it. And then this 113 is above you, but at this point, that's not really your super big concern. The fact of the matter is that you're losing at other places on the map already. And again, that's why it's difficult to play through this middle. Because if the other team is just patient, then they'll basically just whittle you down. Which is why once you lose control of this middle area here, if they control here, you really have to back off, and you can like go and clear these E100s, for example. It's going to be very, very difficult for you to push out of here if they don't allow you to, simply because they've got this guy up here and this guy right here.
Enemy armor is damaged.
And again, you're just not in a very good position, because basically see where you're at. There's a tank over here that can shoot you from this side. There's a tank over here that can shoot you from this side. There's a tank over here that can shoot you from this side. The only place that you can't get shot, unless your STB shoots you, is from this side. And that's not where you want to be, especially in these not as mobile tanks. Again, your best bet is still to clear out through this side to take off pressure from there. Although if that guy is going to drive right in front of you, that also works. Here we go. Make it happen. And again, you want to be the one taking damage here, because you've got two clip tanks that are lowish health. Although that works. Alright, it's clear. It's clear. It's clear. I don't know where you're going now. Coming all the way around this side isn't necessarily helpful. You'd rather actually play against this 113 through either this area here or through this area here, right? These guys are still going to be sitting on this corner, which, you know, is good for them, but... So the problem with moving out over here is that you're not going to really have a whole lot of recourse. Like, even if you get out, let's say, over here, that's not a really good position to counter where the 113 is at, particularly while they still have artillery active. Run for it, my man. Run for it. There's going to be a lack of hill. Oh, look at that. Nobody ever expects the Gnomish Inquisition. Push him off the hill. Oh, push him off the hill. Push him off the hill, Chief.
Enemy armor is hit.
Yeah, nobody ever expects the Gnomish Inquisition. Alright, and then what you do want to do is you want to get close to this wall here, because presumably the artillery is out there. And again, you're not going to really be able to get super great shots at this 113, which is a little bit of a limitation. You will get shots at that guy, though.
Enemy is hit.
No, that was very weird. Just go ahead and shoot, and then look down. You don't need to look down before you shoot. 57 is backing off, so yeah, this is a guy too. Oh, it's a pretty good shot. Like you were aiming to hit that drive wheel, so that's the good news. Bat chat. And you want to be careful here. You don't need to support your bat chat. Either he wins there or he doesn't. What you don't want to do is you don't want to get shot by this guy, right? Because that's going to hurt your team more than anything else, right? The Bat Chad has made his decision, and you, no matter what you do, you're not going to be the deciding factor in the outcome of this game. Okay, now you can get a shot on the JPE though if you want. I mean, the JPE shot your boy. And then now they've shrunk down their map control quite a bit, so you actually probably want to come back around over here, like see where this 50B guy are at. That's a building that's there. I wouldn't necessarily push through this lane. You've got superior map control, so you basically just need to tack around them and you'll be fine. I'm not entirely sure where that shot went, but I guess there's a building there. Yeah, you're just furtively sniping at this point. You're better off pushing through one side or the other. Like they've made their decision that they're gonna push through here, and you guys have not. And then if you do clear this side, you want to be careful not to play this outside over here. You'd rather come in through this side, especially since you have a reasonable amount of health left. And the reason why? Arty, you're not putting yourself really in that much better of a position, but you're making yourself more vulnerable to artillery. And again, you want to take the shots here. This JPE is presumably pushing through this side. Wouldn't worry about him too much.
We've damaged them.
This guy is the guy you got to worry about. Oh, look at that. Ruh-roh.
Penetration.
And then you just gotta push it. Just push it here. Just push it.
We're immobilized.
Hope you don't get hit by Arty. And then, so getting close to him doesn't really help. You actually want to get someplace where you're relatively protected from artillery. And again, this is one of those things where I talk about understand what you're afraid of. You're not going to really be able to prevent this guy from shooting you, right? And you being closer to him, you being at 40 meters, is not really going to change the penetration of your shell value if you're back here at 80 meters, right? So understand whether you're actually afraid of this guy or not. I didn't really feel like that was necessary, like the runaway was necessary, but to each his own. He's turning around to face the Type 5 Heavy, presumably. Just go. Just go. Just go. Nicely done. No, you just back up. Just back up over here. There's no reason for you to turn your tank. Ah, you missed. And then now you can just charge. So for some reason I don't know why. Like, you know that he shot, right? There's only 2 people in this game and you didn't shoot. So you know that he shot. So the timer is on. So whenever that happens, always look at the time, right? 6:05. And so I know that I have a 40-second, let's say 35-second window. So let's say that when this gets to 5:30, he's going to be reloaded. And that's sort of the benefit of doing that. So there's no reason for you to not go after him. Your heat shells are not going to help you here. You might as well load APCR. If anything, the calculation should be, should I load an HE shell? Now the problem is that even on the British guns, which typically get the better HE pen 105, you have to make sure that you don't hit spaced armor. And so the best thing to do is, these guys are generally over here. The best thing to do is actually come up over here. Like, you basically come up through this cap area. You don't want to drive up this side because that's where they have the advantage. And so this is counter to, you know, when we were talking about how to play these games in the earlier ones, where you don't want to be close. In this particular one, you want to be close. Like, you want to be able to, you don't want to have to come across an open area to get after this guy. That's good. You have shot on him. It's on his side. You can take your time. You know where he's at. He doesn't know where you're at. And that's a huge advantage to you, right? So all you gotta do is just tack around, tack around, tack around. You can keep him pinned there if you want it. And so, again, one of the things about artillery is that they don't fight around corners very well. So you can get close enough where you can theoretically proxy spot him. You just need to be careful that he doesn't get the idea to charge you. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to leave the area so that he doesn't, you don't know where he is. You know where he's at right now. You don't want to give him the opportunity to move and or relocate. Like, none of these things are particularly helpful to you. The more intel that you know, the better. The less intel that he has is good for you. There is a little bit of a lip over here that you can come through as well. I don't think that this is necessarily good play. There's too many areas where you can get lit coming through here, even by a relatively blind artillery. Oh, 5 short. No. Yeah, just a little bit too close of a range to try to spot him from that side. Like, I mean, I don't necessarily feel that it was bad, but like, if you felt like there was a window there, it would have been better to go around through this backside over here, where you could have been at a longer range. Because in theory, you know, since the Hess shell didn't actually kill him, in theory, he could have had an opportunity to kill you. Just something to keep in mind. Otherwise, you know, I thought you did fairly well there. I wouldn't really worry too much about splash. You have 200 health. Like, if you had like under 100 health, then splash is potentially a problem. But given that you had 200 health, you're really just worried about getting direct hit. Alrighty, so if we look at the stats. Not too bad. Your team benefited from the fact that they did get caught up on that west. They sent a lot of guys there, but they never really attacked into your middle very efficiently. Again, it's very easy from the north to be able to control through that middle area, basically through where that 113 was hanging out, although he didn't play it very efficiently. He was trying to get too many shots on his own rather than create shots for his team. And then their team didn't do a very good job of trying to poke around that outside of the donut, which inexplicably. So they should have been able to really hammer you in the middle there, and they really didn't. You did have an advantage to play through their E100s coming through around that outside, which your team did without you. But that's something that you should have been keeping an eye on. Whenever you're playing any middle area in any reasonably fast tank, pretty much any tank that's not slow, you should always be looking at the sides and thinking about how you could potentially play through the sides to be more effective. Because a lot of times trading with these tanks that don't necessarily have very good armor doesn't make a whole lot of sense to basically get whittled down there in that middle. So you got to be careful of that. But let's see, shooting was pretty decent, so there is that. GG, I am happy that you won.